So welcome back and happy Tuesday. I'm Dr. Laura Dabney, relationship psychiatrist, who I mostly treat executive men with their relationship problems. But in this capacity, I'm sort of opening up my doors and want to help anybody out there who's having emotional relationship problems and are still afraid or anxious about going to see somebody in mental health. So I'm reaching out to you to help you in this format, and hopefully you'll get that strength and courage to go one day. So in this month, we have been talking about parenting. So much drama, so much highs and so much lows with parenting. It's hard to know what to do and how to navigate because there's a lot of emotions involved, and that can cause us to sort of shut down, not think so clearly. When we all get wrapped up in anything emotional, it just makes it that much harder. So I've been reaching out each week, trying to give you some tips, guidance, however you want to put that. And today I want to talk and wrap up our month by talking about how to transition out of your parenting job. Yes, you'll always be the child's parent, but I hope I've impressed upon you that your role in relation to your child should be changing and developing as they get older. So you're involved less in the details of their lives, pulling back, letting them do as much as they can on their own, just watching for the disasters or very, very dangerous stuff by the time they're a teen, and certainly by the time they're a young adult. And then what, you may be asking? Then how should it look, Dr. Dabney? Well, I'll tell you, so I'll fill you in on something that's really quite interesting. And I didn't learn this in medical school, but 70% of my patients have a problem with their parents, and they're all adults. Okay? 70% is a lot. It's a phenomenon that I wasn't aware of, but is certainly very prevalent and playing an active role in a lot of people's lives. So they may come in, no one comes in and complains mostly about their parents, but when we get down to the bottom of what's the anxiety, what's the depression, what's the acting out, oftentimes the root cause is that they feel stretched between their family of origin and their current families. And I'm talking people between 20s and 50s. So your child, if you do not do this correctly, your child may be suffering from this and you may not even know it. Right? Nobody can stretch themselves between you and their family and do that well. Okay? It's not healthy. It's not going to work for their relationships. Okay? And therefore it's not going to work for you. So I know you don't want that for your relationship. And you may be saying, oh my God, what are you talking about? I didn't even know this was a possibility. But it's very real, it's very possible, and it's very prevalent. So let me give you some ideas of what that may look like. So if your child, and when I say child in this regard, I'm just going to say child instead of adult child, but I'm talking about your adult child, anybody over the age of 18, in the 20s, 30s, or what beyond, right? If you get a sense that like maybe they're with you, but they're withdrawn, like watching sports the whole time, or just, well, I'm not saying going out with their friends is a problem, but if you sense they made time to be with you, but they're just not connecting with you, that may be a sign that your relationship is not on par. Okay. Another sign is if they're irritated. Do they pick fights? Do they act up? Do they get bizarrely angry about things when they're with you? That may be a sign. They may have an excuse for these things, but if you're noticing this happens more than you think is the norm, then those are signs. Okay, so what about the child who's not thriving? So let's say they're in their 20s, 30s, 40s. They don't have a significant other. Maybe they go from job to job to job. Those two areas of a person's lives should be settling down, and they should be moving along on those paths, love and work. If they're not, that may be a sign that there's a problem between you two, right? So those are the three things to look for. Think about that your child may be doing that straddling lifestyle, thinking they can't fully, completely, emotionally detach from you for some reason. Now, yes, this is not a blame game. This is not parents have a fault. A child, an adult child, can fix this themselves, and that's what I help them with. But if you see this, you can also take some steps to help this as well. So let's go through that. Those things you can do fall into two camps. One is getting too close, and by that I mean emotionally too close, and the other is by being too far. That's also sort of a rule of thumb for your parenting job in general, is to always be being conscientious of getting close and then distancing, getting close and then distancing, right? But as the child ages, the child gets to have a say in that. It's a lot like your friendships, and we'll talk about the exception, but it's a lot like your friendships, right? You check in with them. I haven't heard from you for a while. Oh, well, I'm on a trip with my spouse. Okay, I'll see you when you get back. So you're stepping in and you're stepping back according to what they're doing and what they need. And that should be the same with your adult child. So let's talk about the don't want to get too close. It doesn't mean you can't have a closeness with your adult child. I'm not saying that, but too close looks something like this. For instance, if you're assuming everything is going to stay the same between you and your adult child, that's a problem. Holidays, traditions, things that you used to do together are going to change. Okay? Your child, if they're healthy, is going to have their own family. All bets are off now. I mean, technically they could go and never talk to you again. And you have to keep that in mind. You have to develop a good relationship with them so they want to stick around. So you can stick around in their lives and be a part of it. That does not mean insisting that they do everything the same as they did when they were little. I've got parents in here who are like, well, he better be coming home for his birthday. Better be home for his birthday when he's in college. There's nothing wrong with him coming home for his birthday. But if you insist upon it or act as if you can't somehow be flexible enough to change that, it's going to cause a problem between you. So now it's asking them, so what are your plans for X? Okay. If it's not to come home and you feel upset about it, then you may have to come up with some kind of a compromise. Okay, so you're not coming home for Christmas. Maybe we can stop by after Christmas for a period, the weekend after Christmas or some other time, the weekend before Christmas. It's negotiating, working it out. Also, don't tell your adult child about your problems. This is the exception to the friendship template that you can use, right? You can tell a friend your problems. That's appropriate. Telling your adult child your problems, not appropriate. All right? They're really not your friend. No matter how old your child gets, they want to think you are in charge, you're capable, you've got it. That's not the same as being a robot. Okay? If you have a strong emotion, they witness it, then simply say straight out, yes, I'm still grieving the loss of so-and-so. It does come up once in a while, but overall I'm fine. I'm going to be fine. So you can let them know you have an emotion, but that you're handling it. You don't want to give the impression you don't know what to do and it's really affecting you and you're never going to get over it. That's the line. All right. And don't expect them to put their family before yours, for your original one. Okay, before you. Their job, okay, being a parent is really the only altruistic act that we have, right? Think about it. You didn't have your kid, you didn't change his diapers and feed him and give her ballet lessons and go kart her around with the idea that you're going to pay me back one day for this, right? Okay, so don't act that way. You give to your child because you took on the job of having them and raising them. It was your decision. They had no role in this. It's not a contractual relationship. All right. with the idea that then they're going to do that for their kid, and they're going to do that for their kid. It's going to go down like that. Not that they're going to give back to you. You are an adult. You can handle your life. Professionals, friends, spouse, partner, what have you. You do not put that on your child, no matter what their age, okay? They're supposed to, their priority, they have a contractual relationship with their spouse. They decide to have their children. That's where their priorities should be. Pat yourself on the back. Don't be resentful. You did a good thing if they're committed to their family. You fit yourself in there, okay? Not shove yourself in there, but you talk to your child. Hey, maybe we can do this. Well, that doesn't work for you. We'll try something else. That's the role you want to play. Okay. The other big mistake I see parents make is the opposite. They distance too much. And by distancing too much, you may think, well, they haven't said anything. They haven't, but they may have a resentment or a sadness about that you're not even aware. So, while I keep saying let them take the lead, if you haven't heard from them in a week or two or something that's out of the norm, don't punish them. Don't act as if you are all upset about it. Simply touch base with them. Send them a funny text, send them a funny story, mail them a card. Just touch base with them so they know that you're there. And if they need to then speak with you or something to say, they can do that. You're just presenting the opportunity. Some people get to the point where they have a new spouse or a new life, and they get caught up in that. Nothing wrong with that. You want to have a life with your child, goes on with theirs, that's absolutely fine. But be sensitive to the fact that changes, you may have some emotional feelings, issues with them making changes in your family that you created changing, but so may they, right? So just be sensitive to that. It's not because they're sensitive to it, because they're having an emotion to it, doesn't mean it's wrong. But you may want to just open up the pathway there, maybe have a lunch with the adult child, maybe have a little phone call with them saying, hey, I've been kind of caught up in my new job, just wanted to say, hi, how are you handling that? Everything okay with you? Just giving them the opportunity to say something. I have a new partner in my life. It's not to replace your mom. I hope you understand that. Let me know if you have any problems with that. I'll be glad to talk it over with you. Something like that, where you're simply sensitive to that. Okay. And lastly, in terms of distancing, we don't want you to, well, this should be going on since they were a teenager, but we don't want you to criticize their choices. At this stage of the game, it should be all hands off in terms of their choices, the problems they're going through. Don't be tempted to step in and say, well, this is what I would do, this is what I would do. You want to create an environment where they know to ask you for help if they need it. And then, even then, you want to be really careful about stepping in, because it comes off as criticism if you step in without being invited. And even then, you might want to structure well. Are you saying you need to vent? Are you saying you want my advice? What kind of help can I give you? And then let them clarify, so you're not stepping on anybody's toes. They're adults now. It's hard. I'm going through this myself. I know how hard it is to not want to rescue, be the one with the idea, the one to save the day. But that's really distancing from them, because what you're doing is you're acting like you're the authority over them. So you're pulling away, as opposed to, this is where a more friendship role would be appropriate, where you're staying on par. Like, I trust you can handle this. I know it's hard for you, but I think you can work this out. I know that you'll be able to figure this out. Those kind of statements are more staying here on the same level with them and more helpful. All right, so in sum, for the month, relationships, parent to child, is a process. Okay, we talked the first week about things that are just a no-go from the get-go. We talked the second week of January about things that look like a good idea on the surface, really are not good for your child. Then the third video, we talked about things that you may be beating yourself up for, but really aren't that bad. You don't need to do that. And then this, the transitioning out of your parent role. Okay, so hopefully that's been of help to you. As always, if you have any questions, concerns, or need any further guidance, the phone number here is 757-340-8800. I go into further detail on these issues on Instagram over the coming weeks, so if you haven't checked that out, please do. Laura Dabney.com on Instagram. Okay, good seeing y'all again. Take care.